Hi and welcome back to Seekers and Cynics. My name is Richard Bentley and this is Bodmin Road Church, and we're going to do another one in our series looking at the Bible. Last time I was looking at the New Testament and what's in it and what you can expect to find there, and I finished by saying it is a living book, God's inspired book, where we can not just find out about Jesus, but where we can really have an encounter with him by following the truth that is in those pages. What I want to look at this time is the question, but is it reliable? Can I rely on what I'm reading in the pages of the New Testament? Can I trust it? Okay, that's the question that I want to look at this time. If that document doesn't actually tell us the truth about Jesus, then it's pointless. We're lost. We can't get back to the original Jesus and find anything out if that document, those documents aren't reliable. Okay, and you may have heard people say, well, you know, the New Testament, it was just made up. It's fairy stories, or it's been altered over the years, so it's not the same as the original. You may have heard all sorts of things like that. So that's what we're going to look at today, because we need to know, is this that we're reading, is it reliable? The thing I want to say to you is that actually the people who say those things, very rarely have they done their own research. And that's what I want to encourage us to do. We need to come at this like a jury in a court. We need to put the New Testament in the dock and cross-examine it to work out, is it a reliable witness? Is this witness telling the truth? Or has it changed its story? And that's what we're going to do. We can do that really quite scientifically. I don't want you to believe anything just on my say. I want us to understand that there's some really good evidence and some really good backup to the reliability of the New Testament documents. Okay, when you get an ancient document, any ancient document, about any part of history, there are really three questions you need to ask when it comes to reliability. There are three places where that reliability can fall down. What we need to know is, number one, was this document written by somebody who was a contemporary, by somebody who was a first-hand eyewitness at the time of the events that they are writing about? Or was it written hundreds of years later by somebody who really wouldn't know what they were talking about? Okay, so was it written by somebody at the time? That's the first question. The second question when it comes to reliability that we've got to ask is, has it been changed since? Even if it was written by an eyewitness, has somebody come along later and altered what was written? That's the second aspect of reliability. And the third question that we've got to ask, even if we pass the first two tests, is this: is the person who wrote it actually telling the truth, or did they make something up? Okay, those are the sort of three things we've got to look at, and we're going to do that with the New Testament, and we can do that with the New Testament. And the great thing is that it's not just guesswork. We can actually bring some quite analytical, almost scientific methodology to this, and we can really stress test the New Testament. We can put it in the dock, and we can cross-question it, and we can really make some progress if we do that. And scholars and historians have got some really good tools for doing that. So let's start with question one. Is this stuff written by people who were there at the time? Okay. And the fact is, the truth is that no serious academic, not even an atheist academic, in any university in the world today, in any department of history or literature, would question the very early date of the New Testament documents, that they are written within those immediate decades that followed the life of Jesus, which is what they're about. Okay, we can do all sorts of cross checks, and it's without question that the New Testament dates from the first century. There is absolutely no reason to doubt, no evidence to doubt, that the New Testament, in other words, is written by the followers of Jesus or by their immediate associates. In other words, by people who knew what they were talking about. That's the first question, and the New Testament passes that with flying colours. Okay, some of you would say, fair enough, I'll allow that it was written by those original folk, but surely over the centuries it's been altered little by little, bit by bit. Others have come along, copied it a bit differently, added a bit, taken it a bit away, so that what we've got today, who knows? It's certainly not the original, surely. And therefore we don't have any idea what the original was. Well, that claim can be put to the test, and it can be put to the test using a method that the academics call textual criticism. And so let's go ahead and let's apply that textual criticism to the New Testament and see if that claim, that doubt stands up. Textual criticism works by comparing the copies, because we don't have the originals, by comparing the copies that we do have. And what we've got is about 5,000 or so copies or part copies of the New Testament, all dating from those first about 300 years from the originals. We don't have the originals. They were written on parchments and they are long lost. So before we do that, I want to give you an illustration. I want you to imagine that there are lines of people fanning out from me here in all directions, lines of people fanning out. And I'm going to whisper something to the 3 or 4 people who are immediately closest to me. And then they are going to whisper that same message. They are going to pass it on to the next couple of people next to them, and so on, so that my original message fans out down all these lines of people. Okay, imagine we did that experiment. Okay, let it run for a while, so that fairly quickly, if everybody tells another 3 people, fairly quickly you've got a few thousand people who have all received what I said, but they've all received it down their own track of communication. They've all received it down their own line of whispers. Okay? Now let's sample the results at the end of those lines. Okay, let's ask that group of people on the outer circumference of this expanding circle. The message that each of them has received at the end will only be the same as the one I spoke at the beginning if everybody along their particular chain has passed the message along accurately. Yeah? That's the only way that what everybody gets at the end will be the same. Imagine then if we did sample the results and we discovered that everybody at the end of each line has got exactly the same message that I started with. That would really be rather remarkable, wouldn't it? Given the potential for Chinese whispers and for things to be misheard. But imagine that everybody at the end of each of those independent lines all reports back the same sentence that I issued at the beginning. What that would tell you is that none of the people down the line in that chain of communication had introduced an error or dropped something or added something. Okay? Because if anyone had done that, if anyone had changed anything, then that change would show up after them, wouldn't it? And would give a different result at the end of the line. Now, let's come back to the New Testament documents. We don't have the originals. We just have these 5,000 or so copies from about the next 200-300 years. But they are copies that have been found all over the Mediterranean. Okay, in other words, they've come from independent sources. Okay, most of them therefore transmitted down their own independent lines of copiers. Okay, spreading out from the original, just like in my illustration. And when we put them side by side, the remarkable thing is that they match almost perfectly. Okay? And that is proof. Concrete, hard, academic proof that the original contents of those documents have not been tampered with by the copiers along the chain. Okay? They've not added stuff, they've not taken stuff away. Because if they had, it would show up in some of the copies that we've got. And yet, those copies match. Chinese whispers can be scientifically ruled out when it comes to the transmission of the New Testament. What that means is that when you read Matthew, Mark, or Luke, or John, that you are reading what Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John originally wrote. It has not been tampered with. There's just one question left now. We've shown that we do have the untampered, unchanged accounts of the original eyewitnesses. The one question that remains is that did those writers tell the truth themselves, or did they just make something up?